Chris Mannix for the crossover alongside Howard Beck and Ben Pickman. Guys, the Western Conference is an incredibly deep conference this year. And if you were going to pick a team that might have fallen out of the playoff picture from last year, Memphis might have been it. But the Grizzlies are firmly entrenched right now in the middle of the playoff pack, and they expect to get some players back over the next few weeks. Howard, are you buying the Grizzlies as a playoff team?
Oh, I am really tempted to, Chris. Mostly because of Ja Morant. Ja Morant is an absolute stud. And they've also got, by the way, the second best defense in the NBA. And as you alluded to, Justice Winslow says he could return this month. Maybe they get Jaren Jackson back soon. And maybe that means a playoff berth. But no, I'm not buying it. I would like to, because I would like to see as much Ja Morant as possible. But the bottom line is this team offensively, after Ja Morant, is there's just a massive drop off. Their second leading scorer is Dillon Brooks at 15 points per game. You're not manufacturing a great playoff team out of a team that has Dillon Brooks as your second leading scorer at 15 points per game. Their offense is 24th in the NBA in efficiency. And the bottom line is the Western Conference, I think 6 spots are already locked up. You got the 2 LA teams, Denver, Utah, Portland, and probably Phoenix. That leaves 2 spots. And the Grizzlies will be battling with the Warriors, the Rockets, the Spurs, the Mavericks, if they can ever get their act together. So it's going to be a steep battle. And I think in the end, they're probably on the outside looking in, which is fine because this is a really young and exciting team that has a lot of promising years ahead of it.
And I was one of those people that doubted the Grizzlies. I thought they were going to be 12th heading in the Western Conference heading into this season. I'm surprised at how well they've started out. And I do think they're going to be in the Western Conference playoff mix, but I do think we'll see them slide towards maybe the play-in tournament when the regular season comes to an end. And I think even without Jaren Jackson Jr., there's been a lot of encouraging signs for the Memphis Grizzlies to start this season. They weathered Ja Morant's absence while it was briefer and shorter than we might have expected. And they've weathered Jaren Jackson Jr.'s absence as well. He was a key part of their team last year, and on Monday there were reports that he's starting to ramp up basketball activity, which should be encouraging for them moving forward. I think what Howard mentioned on the defensive end, though, is really important, right? Even without some of their best players in action, they've been one of the league's best defensive teams. Howard mentioned it, right? They're the second best team in terms of defensive rating, and right now they're the third best team in particular in terms of second chance points allowed, and they're pretty good in the paint as well. So I think Memphis's defensive success is something that should hold throughout the remainder of the season. And yes, so far, their schedule has been a little soft. You look at their wins. They beat the Sixers without Joel Embiid. They beat the Nets twice. Both of those times, the Nets didn't have Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving. But I think Memphis is developing good habits. And while I think they'll be at the bottom of the Western Conference playoff picture, I do think they're going to be in it when the regular season comes to a close.
Yeah, Howard, blah, blah, blah. The Grizzlies are young, blah, blah, blah. They're really good, and they have great scoring depth, and they win by defense. I don't understand this distrust, Howard, in the Memphis Grizzlies. I mean, these guys that you're talking about, like you scoff at Dillon Brooks. Dillon Brooks is a proven player. Dillon Brooks is going to give you 15, 17 points per game, and a couple of nights he might give you 30. You go down the list. Brandon Clark was in the mix for Rookie of the Year last year. Jonas Valanciunas is a very good player, and Ja Morant has only played 6 games as we record this video. So I think as these guys get back onto the floor, they're only going to get better, and they're starting to develop some real continuity with each other. These guys have been together now for 2 seasons, and they're starting to learn how to play with each other and be effective playing with each other. I think this Grizzlies team, look, they're not a threat to win in the playoffs unless you get that second big-time scorer. But just this month, they've had 3 games where they've had 7 guys scoring in double figures. If you get that type of consistency, Howard, you are going to win regular season games. And the Grizzlies have shown that they can do that.
Listen, Chris, the potential is there, clearly. I'm not saying they can't make the playoffs, but when push comes to shove, do I have more faith in that very young roster that overall on the long haul is unproven, or do I have more faith in the possibility that a John Wall, Victor Oladipo, and suddenly all-star looking Christian Wood could actually take one of those spots, or that the Warriors with Steph Curry and Draymond and James Wiseman are going to take one of those spots? The fact is there are more established teams that are in the mix there, and even the Spurs. I mean, every year we count them out, and every year they're still hanging around. And yes, they did finally miss the playoffs last year, but they're not going anywhere either. They're in the mix there too. So when I just look across the landscape of those teams that are jockeying for the last couple of spots, I think I just have a little bit more faith in some of those more seasoned teams. But as I say, and as I said at the top, I will be perfectly happy to be wrong on this one because more Ja Morant is a good thing.
Ben, I'll give you the last word. More, you buying into Grind City or not?
I am, though I do think one worrying component is Ja Morant from three, right? If Memphis really wants to make the leap, he's going to have to shoot it better from deep. He's just 26% from three on the season. And if the Grizz want to jump into a top tier or second tier in the Western Conference and really hold off some of their foes, Ja Morant is going to need to pick it up from the perimeter.
That's a playoff team. Taylor Jenkins can flat out coach. He's taken guys, a team that's had guys in and out of that lineup. Jaren Jackson perpetually injured, it seems. He's kept them afloat. When Jackson comes back, that Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson pick and roll, that is going to be lethal in the second half of this season. For more, check us out over at SI.com.